Hello, hello.
Hello.
We're back, people. We're back.
We are back.
Welcome.
Yes.
To the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. We took a little vacation. I think it was much needed on both of our ends, but we took a week off. We recharged because it is officially NFL season eve, people. The NFL starts tomorrow at Thursday Night Football. We are kicking off with the Cowboys and the Bucs. We will get into so many things NFL tonight, but first things first, Katie, how was the vacation? How did it go? You're feeling good, recharged, back at the football and housewives game.
It's actually so funny because I feel like this happens to me all the time, but it was a great vacation. I was in Lake George with my family and we were there for a week and it was wonderful, but I'm back. I'm working again. And it's funny you bring it up because I literally just emailed our travel agent before and I'm like, time to plan the next vacation.
Where are we going?
Hopefully Europe. So let's keep COVID away and hopefully going to Europe in 2022.
Well, that's exciting. I got to get on the trip planning game. For some reason, I just looked in our top left-hand corner and it said we were live and then it went away. So I hope you guys are still watching us. We're here. I don't know what happened. We're still here. But yeah, no, that's all great. Yeah, definitely needed the week. I was away as well. Great. Just being in the sun. Being with family, great stuff. So absolutely loved it. But we are back. We are entering the greatest stretch of the year. We are entering football season, and Katie and I are so excited. We are happier people September to February. Once February hits, we get a little sad, but like Katie just mentioned, she might be going to Europe in 2022. So that's going to be her pick me up when the Super Bowl comes to an end. So, but we're super excited. A lot happened last week. We'll go over that. A lot happened both with football and housewives. And then obviously we've got a ton of stuff coming up that we want to talk about. So we're going to start with questions. We did ask you guys for some questions. We picked out 3 that we really liked. If you are watching live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter right now, feel free to ask us questions throughout the show as well. Yeah. So let's look at the first question. So given that week 1 starts tomorrow, Katie and I always offer you our picks for the week for every game. It was a hard one. We both had to admit this was a first week hard week for sure. Yeah. So with that being said, obviously others are seeing that as well. We were asked, what was the hardest game you had to pick this week? I got to pull up I know. I was going to have to pull my notes.
There were definitely a couple, but I would say the one I struggled with and took the longest to make a decision on, funny enough, is Bama quarterback versus Bama quarterback. That New England matchup, that is a week 1 division rivalry matchup. You've got 2 young quarterbacks, a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones for New England and a sophomore quarterback in Tua for Miami. And I just felt it was really, really difficult. I don't know. I feel like both teams are kind of missing the big players and the big, the massive playmakers. And so that was tricky, but, obviously you'll see in a little bit who I took and we'll see how hard it is. Maybe you and I both went opposite. I felt like it was a 50-50 game, to be honest.
I 100% agree with you. I just have to mention that I'm very much looking forward to that game. Obviously that was one of the biggest things, over the past couple of weeks coming out with Mac Jones being named the starter. You guys know me, obviously, Tua might be hanging up behind me, but I do love Mac Jones. So I do love my Bama quarterbacks, and it's been a while since one has, really come out and, really shining out there. So now we have 3 to look at this year, but this matchup I'm very, very excited for. So mine is, there's definitely a lot of tricky ones in here, but I'm going to go with Seattle versus the Colts because I think that, and we'll talk about this a lot later because we're going to give you like predictions way down the line for the season. I think Seattle's going to do well in the long run. I think there are definitely a couple of games at the beginning of the season that they might, not hurt, but they might just be thrown up in the air and they are questionable. I think the Colts are, positioned to attempt to be better, attempt to be a better organization, see what they have there. Obviously, there were some shakeups during the preseason, but a team that I do think has a potential to maybe start things off strong. maybe just be on par with a team like the Seahawks at first. So again,
I think Seattle really needs to take to full advantage. I don't know the game time status yet of like Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson,
right.
but even if those guys are playing, they're not going to be at 100% health. So what would normally be a really tough opening game, or if they saw the Colts at any point in the season, it's a really tough matchup. But they're seeing them at a time where, you know, two of their biggest players are not going to be at full strength, and they've got to use that to their advantage.
I do find too with Seattle, they actually don't always advance on those opportunities where teams are struggling in a certain area, and they kind of fall to maybe tiny spots that the team is doing well in. So again, that a lot ties into that. So that was the one that I was looking at for sure.
Okay. All right. Very good.
So exciting for you, Katie. I know you were posting about it on Instagram a little bit on Sunday. You did your first fantasy football draft. And you did it like the most old school way possible. So I'm happy that that was your experience. But I do, you know, we do have a question coming in just asking you about it in general. So how did it go for your first time? And then, you know, your favorite pick from it.
I had a lot of fun, and yeah, we definitely did it old school. So there were 12 of us in the league. 10 of us were able to actually draft in person. We did it at one of our favorite bars in Montclair, New Jersey, and we kind of just took a little area of the bar, and we had one of those big, gigantic like boards that you order. And our friends ordered it. I didn't know what it was going to entail, but it actually came with stickers and pages and pages and pages of stickers of every single player's name. So you could actually go up, take the sticker off, and put it on the board. It was very cool. I was very like intimidated by it at first. I didn't know how it was going to go. I was so used to practicing, like getting ready for it, doing the mock drafts online. But it turned out really well, and it was a lot of fun. And I would love to keep doing it like that in the future. But it went well. I was picked number 9 out of 12 teams. I got Aaron Jones with my first pick. And
that was my first pick last night in my last draft.
Aaron Jones with my first pick. And then I was able to turn back around and get Steph Diggs with my second pick. But I would say, as far as favorite picks go, I'm very, very big sleeper wise. I got him super late. Elijah Moore, wide receiver for the New York Jets. I drafted with a ton of Jets fans. So I was actually like biting my nails, like waiting for somebody to jump like too early on him because they were all Jets fans. And I quietly snuck in and I waited and I hung around and I got him late. And believe me, I pissed them all off. They were very jealous and very angry. But he is definitely a sleeper pick of mine this season. And to get him in a very comfortable spot, I was very happy about it.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's so much fun. I'm so happy you're finally doing fantasy. I've never done it that way before. That would honestly give me a lot of anxiety. But I do know a lot of people, my brother, my boyfriend, they all do the craziness in person. So I loved seeing your videos of it. I loved catching up and seeing everything there. I had my last draft last night. So I have 3 teams. Luckily, one is in co-ownership with someone else, so it's not falling all on me. But I do have 2 to my own. So it's going to be, you're like babysitting all season, but that's okay. But they all turned out. This is the first year I think I'm pleased with all of my teams. So there's always like one where you're like, I could have done better. But there's a lot of overlap too, obviously, because you're drawn to guys and you see them available and you're like, all right, well, I already have them here, so let's try there. So I'm not the type of person. I know some people go after league where they just completely all different, like everything like that. I don't like to play it that way. I like to, if I have 3 people on the same team, that works for me. So, but yeah, all is good. And I probably have to look at my lineups after the show tonight and make sure everything's okay for tomorrow.
Anybody that you were like super pumped to get where you got them maybe, or just like really big on?
Honestly, and I'll be fully transparent with our audience. So the first team I drafted, quote unquote, my boyfriend actually did it for me, and it was an auction league. I gave him my guidance on everything I wanted. We spoke a little bit throughout he was doing it. I'm just very pleased with how that draft turned out. I was very nervous with that. I didn't really know what to do. Neither did he really, to be honest. So just a lot of people came out of that. I'm trying to think, there was I did get what's his name on the Jets. I know you're high on him too, and I liked his pick. I did get Corey Davis pretty early yesterday, early but later, like conservative. I got him. But again, like there was a lot of people, so I liked that pick for sure. I did get Aaron Jones and Gibson right up front last night. That was big for me. So I really stacked in the running backs. But what I was really, really pleased about, and we did speak about this, a couple of weeks back when we were really talking fantasy, a lot of depth. There was a lot of depth. There was a lot of guys you could have waited for. And I liked the strategy that we spoke about, and we kind of tested the waters a little bit of, taking a tight end early, because the wide receivers they're going to be there. There's going to be some guys. And it was absolutely the right way to go. I advanced when I could on a tight end for last night in particular. The other two kind of like played out in their own way. But there was just wide receivers and running backs until the end. Like people were still available. Are they the best of the best, putting up 15 plus points a week? No, but they're still going to get you to where you need to be. Fill out your bench, things like that. So no one like really, really in particular, I was super happy about. I just think all three really went well in my opinion. So I'm very happy about that.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to see how it plays out for both of us, and
let's win some money.
I'm excited to be a part of the fantasy football world now. So
let's win some doll hairs, people. Yes. Alrighty, and this is an interesting question. It's something we can probably look at week after week with our primetime matchups. But Thursday Night Football, we got it tomorrow, the Bucs against the Cowboys. Which wide receiver will end up with the most yards tomorrow? So specifically looking at yards.
This is a great question just because I think these are two of the teams in the NFL right now that have some of the strongest wide receiving groups. So a lot of possible answers to kind of go over and think about. And I'm going to go with Tampa Bay's Chris Godwin. So many weapons for Tampa Bay. So many. And honestly, on any given night, it could be a different guy leading and receiving yards for them. There's just something about this matchup and something that I'm just, honestly, it's almost like rolling the dice because like I said, there are so many options. It is just like a gut feeling almost. I'm going with Chris Godwin.
So this is nothing against Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. We know they're very talented wide receivers. How I see the game going tomorrow, I think Dallas is really going to screw up in coverage down the field. So I think Tom Brady's going to have the opportunity to launch it like he knows how to do when he can. So that's why I see actually a little bit less yardage there from your top wide receivers because they might already be in the end zone and or a couple steps in. So I do see a little bit back there. So that's why I'm actually going to go with CeeDee Lamb on the Cowboys here. Okay. I think that he was misused, quote unquote, and it obviously has to do a lot with Dak being out. I think them together could be very terrifying. I think we always say this, their offense on paper is pretty scary, but sometimes it doesn't mesh out onto the field. So just for that reason alone, with me thinking the Cowboys are going to blow a lot of coverage on the defensive side. Who's got a quote, love the CD pick. Yep, so we'll see that. If you guys want to spend some money on there, go ahead, but don't quote me. But yes, that's my reasoning behind that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Alrighty.
All right. So yes, as always, we are live. Send any questions that you have during the show. We will do our best to answer any and all of them. And yeah, we've got big stories of the week in the world of football. Things that we're actually going to do NFL quick hot topics and a special edition. What happened while we were away? So
when our out of office message was up,
what out of office edition. So obviously some of these things happened while we were both away on vacation last week, but just in case you didn't hear about it in the news, we want to inform you of what is going on in the world of football. So this was a big one, and hopefully all of you knew this before you potentially drafted for fantasy football. But last week it was announced that Baltimore running back J.K. Dobbins would be out for the entire 2021 season with a torn ACL that he suffered in the final preseason game. You hate to see that. You hate to see it happen in the preseason game because then you always question, like, should we have played him? Should we have not? But, you lose Cam Akers to the Rams, a young running back. Now you're losing J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be the clear-cut RB1 for Baltimore. And it's just, you don't like to see it. So
I don't know. I kind of question, like, the preseason's ever going to stop. This could have been done in practice with a lot of like the injuries recently and a lot of like the knee injuries too. Like, I kind of wonder, like, what's going on, like, with their strength and conditioning? Like, what are they doing on the side? Like, were they not prepared to come into preseason? Like, what is the team offering? And I know they have a lot of, they have professionals that are helping them with their lifting, their conditioning, things like that. So it's nothing against those people, but how many knee injuries have we seen over the past couple of seasons? It's kind of terrifying. So what are you doing to prevent that? Because you don't want to see guys like this go out before the season even starts, but it's not like you can't practice. You need a preseason.
Right. Of course. That's never going to change. And as much as people want to say, oh, shouldn't have played him, like, all of the starters are pretty much going to see some sort of time.
You have to, yeah.
Even if it's just for one series, you can get injured on that one series, but you're going to at least get one series. So
more injuries will happen if they don't play, if they're not going in and things like that.
Right. So Dobbins expected to be, 12 months of recovery for him. So entire season gone. But then more bad news for Baltimore, because on Monday, another running back, Justice Hill, he suffered a torn Achilles during practice. The team was going to bring in Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman, and they actually have now signed Le'Veon Bell as of today. Yep. So that's going to be, it's funny because Baltimore was actually the top rushing team for the past 2 seasons. That's all thanks to Lamar Jackson. Honestly, might not be bad to have Lamar Jackson in fantasy football this year, because the dude's going to be running it more than ever, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I've got him in, I think, 2 of my leagues.
Yeah. Well, I think it's gonna pan out pretty well. But tough sledding for the Baltimore Ravens, and you're gonna have to try and fill those shoes for sure. So on Monday, and also on his 26th birthday, more Baltimore news. Baltimore tight end Mark Andrews agreed to a 4-year extension worth $56 million, which now makes him the 3rd highest paid tight end. More contract news. Last week, safety Harrison Smith agreed to a 4-year deal, $64 million extension, and he will receive $22.5 million in the next 8 months. That is with the Minnesota Vikings. And that will make him, that will be the highest in NFL history for a safety.
Yep. I love to see it. Love to see it.
Great player. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
On Thursday, Las Vegas signed former Seattle Seahawk linebacker KJ Wright to a 1-year contract. He previously spent the last 10 years with Seattle. And honestly, I think this is a nice pickup for Las Vegas, because he can still produce. He's entering his 11th season, which is why, people aren't giving him like a long-term contract, I guess. He is getting older, but he had 86 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and an interception last season. So he's still playing at a pretty high level. And more importantly, this is a dude who hasn't missed a game since 2018. You can count on him game after game after game. He hasn't experienced injuries like
that's huge in the NFL now.
That's very huge. If
that's
you are
something that you
older,
put on your resume,
if you are going to be older, at least you're not super injury prone, which is a plus.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great pickup for Las Vegas.
I agree.
Late in the off season here, but good pickup. This was a very interesting one. The other week while we were away, it was reported that Jacksonville had traded backup quarterback Gardner Minshew to the Philadelphia Eagles for a conditional 6th-round draft pick in 2022. That pick can become a 5th rounder for. I love these weird little stipulations.
I know.
The pick can become a 5th-round pick for Jacksonville if Gardner plays in at least 1/2 of 3 games. Very interesting there. But Joe Flacco is also on that roster, let's not forget, and he is expected to stay on that roster for the Philadelphia Eagles despite the addition of Gardner Minshew.
And I guess they still have Nick Mullins, right? I guess they'll cut him if they haven't cut him already. They did? Okay.
Yeah, they cut Nick Mullins. They had Nick Mullins as well.
Because I was wondering what they were going to do with that.
I thought it was a really weird place for Gardner. I know, like, we had discussed him possibly going to some other teams.
Right.
And him being trade bait. I don't
listen. I think it happened right after we discussed it. So I'm telling you, the Eagles front office is listening to us. They are listening to us. People are on it because we made such a big case for these certain guys out there right now that are him, Drew Lock. They are trade bait. So it happened literally 48 hours after, I think. So,
and could be interesting. Maybe Philly is literally just recognizing the fact that Gardner is trade bait. And like we said, wait for one of those big name starting quarterbacks to potentially get injured this season. And who are people going to call? They're going to call the Philadelphia Eagles and ask about Gardner Minshew. So maybe they're just like 2 steps ahead of everybody else on that one. But
will be one of the smartest things to come out of Philly in a long time. So
okay, so last week, this is also really like even more surprising quarterback news. Last week, the New England Patriots released quarterback Cam Newton, and they named rookie first-round pick Mac Jones the starter. It's not so much that like the big shock is that the fact that they named Mac Jones the starter.
It's just
it's just the fact that like they didn't have to release Cam Newton. So that was the really surprising part. Don't know if something happened behind closed doors.
I don't know. The latest thing that I heard from, or just I guess I saw a quote from Bill Belichick, it just said, Cam gave us everything we wanted to see. And, and we decided to move forward with Mac Jones. Like that was the latest thing I saw. But that's it. Like there's nothing more. So when you really haven't seen much from, Cam Newton went out. I don't know why he types in that weird font that he does like sometimes. So like even when he wrote his like farewell message, I couldn't even understand what the fuck he wrote, to be honest. So
it's like what's that font in Microsoft Word, like Webdings or something like that?
Someone wrote Cam's dust. Is that what that means? Or does that mean he's bad? Does that mean the font or that he's bad?
I don't know.
The font that he uses?
I guess I'm not with the lingo. I
was thinking like fairy dust, like sprinkling some weird ass shit, but that's what he did. So, and that's all I've heard from him. So, I mean, So.
So.
He's done. That's what it meant. He's done. So yeah, we know. I think so.
These days, he's done. Okay, so New England also released veteran quarterback Brian Hoyer, leaving Jones and Jarrett Stidham as the only quarterbacks on the roster. On Sunday, a source with extensive experience evaluating NFL personnel explained that the current issue with Cam and why he hasn't been picked up by another team yet is his history of injuries and the belief that he's not throwing the ball very well. I also saw other things. I saw a headline that I was like kind of laughed at where it was like Mac Jones was helping Cam Newton learn the playbook.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like Cam Newton, this is your second year with New England. Like, why is the rookie teaching you the playbook?
But you're also an NFL a veteran quarterback. I don't care if this is your first season with the team or it's your Panthers that you've been on forever. Like, why? That shouldn't be. It should never be like that.
Yeah. And then I also read a little bit further quotes from Adam Schefter kind of saying that he doesn't expect teams to pick up Cam Newton because he's not going to be a starter. No. And Adam Schefter basically wrote that sometimes it's kind of hard to have a big name superstar as your backup quarterback because there's always like that expectation of like, are you going to play them at any moment?
There's tension too. I think it brings to the locker room. Whether you're the most like whether you're an Eli Manning of the world or you are, someone with a bad off the field like MO, like no matter who you are, it's that veteran mentality behind someone. Like I think like Joe Flacco has handled it okay, but it's still weird. It's weird to see him play for the Jets and now he's on the Eagle. It's kind of like you have that WTF just kind of stamped across his head. So maybe in the locker room it's fine. He's being a great leader like he can be, but like to us, it's weird. It doesn't, there's no goodness to come from it.
Yeah, so according to Mr. Schefter, he does not believe that anybody's going to pick up Cam. But again, you never know what's going to happen. Like we were just talking about injuries. Like eventually some of these guys are going to have their phones called and be asked to come in. So we'll see what happens with Cam. But I think as far as week 1 goes, he's not going to be on an NFL roster. So
we still all have to, accept the fact too that we're still in COVID times, and we're already seeing certain things happen with that as we inch up to tomorrow night. So honestly, like that could be the case. It could be someone, getting in trouble for that, someone being sick and having to quarantine, or, obviously we don't know if a team will get fined because of, someone not being vaccinated. That could open up a whole can of worms. So if someone puts a team at risk and they get fined, are you going to keep that person? So much stuff can happen, like going down the line. It's not even just injuries at this point. So I agree with Adam Schefter that I don't think he's going to be on a team within the next 2 weeks as we start the season. But there is definitely potential midway and as we inch closer to the end that something might happen and he's needed.
Absolutely. And then finally, more news out of New England. Last week, it was reported that their star cornerback, Stephon Gilmore, would start the season on the PUP list with a quad injury that ended his 2020 season in week 15 last year. People were a little bit surprised with the decision to put him on the PUP list because there are a couple people who believe that he was healthy enough to come back at week 3. But now with this decision to put him on the list, the All-Pro corner is not eligible to return to game action until week 7. That's a big loss for New England.
It is.
And then, of course, we were just talking about it before, really tough division matchup right in the opening with Miami. Could have used a guy like that trying to lock down their top receivers. But yeah, that's going to be tough for them. So we'll see how it shakes out. But that's the latest and greatest in the world of football. Since
a lot is going on
in the last couple of days, and obviously more to come.
Since you've been gone. A lot, though, happening. And obviously, we're almost 24 hours away to the start of the season. So every week we're going to be delivering you the best of the best. As always follow us on our social media accounts. We're always retweeting, posting on Instagram, the latest and greatest news. And here we just like to dive into it in more detail with you. All right. So we're now getting into, it's one of my favorite things to do each week moving forward. We get to, I know, I can't wait. It's here, people. It's here. NFL season eve. It's like Christmas Eve, but maybe a little bit better. And you know me, I love Christmas. So, so excited. So each week moving forward, Katie and I are going to give you our picks for every game Thursday to Monday night. And we are also on top of our winners. We are going to give you our a lock game that we are convinced about, and also an upset. So that was that. As we said earlier, it was a tough week 1 to start. Yeah. So it was definitely interesting. So why don't you go ahead? I've got to look at my phone. I had it on my computer, but I deleted it by accident. So why don't you go? And I don't know if we have it in the right order. So the same order. So, but if you're watching, get out your pen and paper, start writing this down.
Yeah. If you're doing survivor pools and you need help with that potentially, and then also, just so people know, I don't think we've ever said this on the show before, but when we do locks and upsets and stuff like that, and just straight up picks, these are not based on any kind of Vegas lines or gambling or whatever. I had a coworker ask me that yesterday when I was making my picks. Is this based on the line? And I'm like, I don't even know what the hell that means. No. And I was like, no, these are straight up picks, and our upsets are genuinely just teams that we think are maybe not as good as that other team, but we're picking them to win.
And listen, if that's all you need to make a bet, then by all means. Katie and I are not experts there. I do want to shout out real quick someone who did comment on here before. If you guys go to Twitter at Sosa Locksmith, so it's SOSALOCKSMITH, every day, live betting, plays, things like that. Those guys know what they're talking about. They do all sports. They're getting heavy into football now. If you need real details like that, you go ahead. If you just want to take Katie and mine's word for it, go ahead too. So, but it's not
straight up pick 'em. So that's
this is not Vegas over here.
No.
Oops, someone said hello to us. Hello. And we do have some Lamar fans in the chat here as well. Alrighty, so you go ahead and get us started.
Absolutely. So week 1, I'm going with Tampa Bay, Houston, the Chargers, Seattle, Carolina, Minnesota, Tennessee, San Francisco, Buffalo, Atlanta, Kansas City, Green Bay. I don't do this very often, people, so enjoy it while it's here. The New York Giants.
There she goes. The optimist is back. She's back, people. She loves it. She loves the Giants.
I made it. And I want to know when you guys asked the question, what was the hardest pick? It was Miami and New England, with the Giants and Denver being a close second. And I was like, I'm picking the Giants. I'll probably regret it, but I'm going to do it.
No.
So the New York Giants, New England Patriots, the Rams, and the Raiders. My lock, and this goes to show you how hard the lock was, because I don't think there was anything clear cut. I am going with the Rams over the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
And my upset is the Raiders over the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. I love it. We are out of order, so I think I feel like we were like 50-50 though. Maybe a little bit more agreeing with each other. But all right. So here are my picks for week 1. So I'm going with Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Buffalo, the Cincinnati Bengals, the 49ers, the Titans, Seattle. So that was my hard one. Seattle over the Colts. I'm going with Seattle. The Chargers, the New York Jets, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kansas City, New England, Green Bay, the New York Giants, the Los Angeles Rams, and wrapping up Monday night with the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. My upset is the New York Jets over the Carolina Panthers, which is technically an upset. And my lock, which might shock some people, but I just don't see this one team doing well. My lock is the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Houston Texans.
Wow, that is a very interesting lock.
I know.
Jacksonville, let's not forget, was a 1-win team with a rookie quarterback. It might be Trevor Lawrence, but I don't know.
I understand that, but just Houston right now, to me, I see them. I don't even see their logo anymore. Like, I see a literal dumpster fire. I just don't. And I stuck to that rule in my fantasy leagues. I took no one out of Houston. No one. I don't care who you are. I took no one out of there. It's not good. Things are not looking good there. So I know it's a very ballsy lock, but I got to lock in on Jacksonville on that one.
All right. Well, I was able to count and keep track as we were going. We only have 4 that are different. So, yeah, I would say for really close, like a lot of 50-50 matchups, we agreed on most of it. So
nice.
But week 1 is always the toughest.
It is.
Like, a lot of teams have new quarterbacks, rookie or veterans that are new. You've got, Jared Goff.
People going to different teams.
Matthew Stafford with a new team, Carson Wentz with a new team. So you never know what to expect week 1.
No.
It is definitely, I think, the hardest to make picks for.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we are going to stick with us. Absolutely. Especially you football fans that are watching for football purposes, because our game is going to give our very early preseason picks for the playoffs and the Super Bowl. It's always really fun to do that. But we are going to get into the big stories of the week in the world of housewives. And this first one, I know we've all been patiently waiting for a new season of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. So in order to tease that for you and kind of get you even more excited, we do have some New Jersey rumors that are swirling, specifically between Miss Teresa Giudice and Margaret. So on Sunday, an article came out that Margaret attacked Teresa's boyfriend, Louis, who I know we're going to see a lot of on this upcoming season. And yes, so during filming of season 12 of Real Housewives of New Jersey, this feud has been going on. Margaret claimed that Louis is a sex addict with a history of abuse and referenced tales that Louis' past girlfriends have shared online. Behind Teresa's back, the women, so I guess not just Marge, have also gone as far as to label Louis an opportunist with an agenda and have proceeded to mock Teresa's intelligence for falling in love with him, knowing his questionable history. So for sure, when they started dating, like a lot of things came out of the woodwork. As expected, like, the internet starts to do its digging and pull up things that might potentially make him look bad, whether there's truth to any of those things. We don't know, but they're clearly going to be
Mhm.
referenced and brought up on season 12 of Real Housewives of New Jersey. Reports also stated that the first half of the season will be Margaret fighting with Jennifer, but the second half is really Margaret versus Teresa.
You know, and I hope Teresa puts her in her place. I am not happy with Margaret this past season.
I know you haven't been a huge Margaret fan.
She's just been really pissing me off. And I think she really digs low and she tries to stir up this drama for no reason. And honestly, like these women, it's so difficult because you have someone like Dolores who's in a relationship. Oh, that's not good enough for her. So it's not good. Now Teresa finally in a new relationship after her shit show of a marriage. And it's clearly not good enough for, I just can't, it's too much. Like they're all old women. Let them do whatever the fuck they want.
I think it's one thing to like be a friend and like be concerned if you read certain things, but I think those are things that if they're really concerning to you, like you could talk to Teresa privately about instead of like, because if they're not true and then you're bringing it up on the show for all of America to see, like, you know, that's slander, like to the guy.
It literally is.
That's a slippery slope. So it's how you go about it. You can be a concerned friend. But
and that's hard. Like you don't know what you're doing to their relationship. Like that would give me so much anxiety. Of course, I would trust the people around me and trust if someone says it's not true, that it's not true. But like you're thinking about it. You can't deny that. Like you're constantly thinking about it, especially even you could be the most mentally stable person in the world. You're still it's still across.
And you know what? So, like Teresa's not living under a rock. We all read these articles that came out about Louis. She's obviously seen what they have said. And she's probably had private conversations with him about what is this and what is that. So it's kind of like their own business there a little bit to deal with. I do have a quote from a source. It said, Teresa and Margaret have been feuding for the last 2 weeks. Marge has been in Teresa's boyfriend Louis' business and has been saying things that are getting back to Teresa about him. Teresa has had enough of Marge talking about her relationship. The two had a blowout in Nashville. We did see posts on Instagram of all the women and their hubbies and everything in Nashville, which resulted in Teresa unfollowing Marge and wanting nothing to do with her. Marge keeps bringing up rumors she has heard about Louis and continues to bring attention to those rumors. So it's like that last phrase, bring attention to those rumors. It's like you're talking about it for all of America to see. Like you can ask her about the rumors, but don't bring attention to potentially false stories.
Yeah. And I know people are probably like listening right now and they'll probably come at me or like the thought of like, oh, well, Teresa started the rumor about Jackie and Evan. Like, all right. Like, I understand that. Like, I get it. But I think Margaret has done this on multiple levels with not just relationships, with maybe friendships, with things like that. So yeah, did Teresa mess up last season? Yeah. We called her out. We did not agree with anything that she did. She shouldn't have done that. But Margaret's kind of been shady lately, and this just I'm not surprised. So
I'm just happy to see it not be Jackie versus Teresa, which honestly, been seeing those two like post a little bit together on Instagram. So
yeah, we'll see.
Where it's copacetic. I'm not saying that I'm like this big Jackie fan. I don't love her. I don't hate her. Yeah. But what I do hate is when the two of them were like going at each other.
It was hard, yeah.
I'd rather just see them be like copacetic and just get along.
I agree.
So, all right. I'm ready for New Jersey. Whenever Bravo is ready, we are ready.
Ready for sure. And we're also ready for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which airs this
we are.
Sunday. We probably won't get to it until early in the week next week because football, obviously. Unless the game is like 31-0 at halftime, then I'm watching Salt Lake City if that's the case.
Yeah. But I think we should try to make it a goal maybe to next week bring the people a little like episode 1 recap.
We definitely can do that because listen, Katie and I watched the first 2 minutes of the first episode and we are sweating. We are sweating. I couldn't stop watching it. It's like they deserve what do you get? An Oscar for? They deserve an Oscar for this 2-minute opening scene. Like
for directing, for editing,
producing, for
the women, like the cast, like
the cameramen running, like physically sprinting up and down, like
unbelievable.
Phenomenal 2 minutes. Like that could be just an episode within itself. So we watched that. We were also delivered the taglines for this season.
Yes.
And Katie and I love to dig into them and really provide our opinions. So We do have the taglines for you. We have 7 because remember, we do have a new housewife.
Yeah.
Her name is Jenny Nugent. I cannot pronounce that. You guys know me.
It's a hard last name.
Someone help me. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start with Jen Shaw, which is very ironic. The only thing I'm guilty of is being amazing. I hate that.
I hate that.
She's guilty though.
She's
Whitney Rose. In a town of beauties and beasts, there's only one wild rose. Lisa Barlow. You don't have to like me. I love myself for the both of us.
I rolled my eyes at that one.
Yeah. This is Jenny again. Please, someone help me with pronouncing her last name. I feel bad. But you know me, I can't pronounce anything. I have plenty of everything, including opinions. Meredith Marks. I may be known for my ice, but I always bring the heat.
Caitlin and I made a huge comment about the fact that they really missed the mark by not doing something with the words disengaging.
Oh my God. Like literally that could have been it. That could have been the quote.
It could have just been, I'm disengaging.
And I would have been like, yes. That would have been the best tagline in Housewives in like 5 years, I think. Honestly.
That's a wrap.
That's it.
Happen. I'm disengaging. Done.
Mary Crosby. If you come for me, I will send Jesus after you. I absolutely despise this one. And I remember her tagline from last season dealing with Jesus and stuff. And I hated it. Like she
doesn't have any storylines or like anything going on. Like, whatever.
And then finally, Heather Gay. And Heather is actually the center snowflakes. I'm really happy for her. So that's a big thing if you guys don't know in Housewives. So very happy. Mm-hmm. I was raised a Mormon, but now I'm raising a glass of champagne.
Yeah.
So I know we did, a couple of like offset comments on each, but like, digging into like your least favorite and your favorite one, which it's hard to even like have a favorite when they're so bad, to be honest.
I do have a favorite though. And honestly, like in contention for favorite and least favorite, I decided like from now on, I'm not going to include like rookies in my favorite or least favorite because we have no idea like if their tagline has something to do with their storyline. Right. We've never seen them before. We don't know them. We don't know how it applies to them. So right off the bat, I took Jenny's out. My favorite would be Heather's.
Yeah, I agree.
I was raised a Mormon, but now I'm raising a glass of champagne because it's like, get it, girl. Like
it makes sense.
Support you. Like, get it. So, we were really big fans of Heather in season 1. She was definitely one of our favorites, and clearly, like, it seems to be a fan favorite to, like you said, get the center snowflake. And I just thought hers was like light and fun and like just like she is. So I enjoyed that one the best. What about you? What was your favorite?
I definitely loved Heather's as well because I think it made the most sense. It's she's obviously transitioning out of being a Mormon. She can drink now. She's a lot of fun.
Living her best life.
Just living her best life. I loved it. The one with Jen Shaw, I would never make a joke about being like on trial for something. Like she's still,
because she is literally pleading her innocence.
I know.
Why would you agree to do this tagline?
I know. So it's so stupid. You're making a joke about it. She even posted something on Instagram the other day. God knows why I still follow her. But
she was laughing about her and like Erica Jane's like legal troubles or something. Like she made like a joke about it. I read that headline. I don't know what she said.
And then it was something about like, it was something about like your friends and what people like say about you, something like that too. And I was like, bitch, of course people are saying bad things about you. Like, are you crazy? Like, are you crazy?
I marked down that my least favorite was Jen's.
I think so too. And I'm really not a fan of Lisa's either.
Yeah, I was gonna say the fact that I'm saying that Jen's is my least favorite is saying a lot because I really freaking hated Lisa's too.
Yeah.
Because it literally, the second I heard it, my eyeballs literally rolled in the back of my head.
Yeah, no, absolutely trash. But yeah, again, though, just another miss, in my opinion, coming from the world of Bravo. Again, I know apparently, they do get a say in what they're doing, but I just think that they need a more creative direction here.
Right. Yeah.
We could be those people.
We could be those people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait, honestly. Like, again, Salt Lake City season 2 is premiering on Sunday. Hopefully we can give you guys a episode 1 recap, because Lord knows there's going to be a lot to talk about after that first episode. But we are going back to football, and we are so ready for the NFL season to start tomorrow. And we are here to give you Katie and Caitlin's super early playoff predictions. So just like last year at this time, right before the season was set to kick off, we're going to give our 2021 NFL season playoff and Super Bowl predictions. We're going to give you division winners for all 8 divisions. We are going to give you our wild card picks. Let's not forget that there are 3 wild card teams coming out of both conferences now. Not just
I had to like literally check that 500 times because I was like, Caitlin, it's 3. And I was like, is it 3? And I was like, yes, it's 3.
It is 3. So 3 wild card teams for the AFC, 3 for the NFC. We will give an NFC championship game matchup, an AFC championship game matchup, a Super Bowl matchup, and our very, very early Super Bowl winner predictions. So
yes. And obviously for our audience, this is a big asterisk. Like, we don't know who's going to be playing each other and everything. So these are just our crazy opinions. So you can't come to us and be like, well, they can't play each other. Yeah, whatever. So
we have no idea. It all is literally all based on the seeds. So obviously we don't know what the seeds are going to be. But this is a fun game to play. I love doing this before the start of the season because things could get weird. Like, there's always those unexpected teams in the playoffs, I feel like, season after season. So I don't know how funky you got with yours.
I got a little funky.
Well, let's start on the NFC side. Let's start with our division winners, and we'll do the 4 out of the NFC. Who do you have winning? And this is just alphabetical order. Who do you have winning our little division of the NFC East?
You'd think it'd be easier when a division is bad and has so many question marks, but it's actually a lot harder to pick a division. I think the only outlier, did I freeze? I think Katie's frozen.
He's gone.
You can hear me? Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I think the only really outlier this season, and clearly it's no bias because it is our division, so I really think the Eagles are the only outlier right now. I think
outlier in like bad.
We're all bad, but like really bad.
Okay.
So when I look at everyone else, like there is a huge question mark. But for me, if I'm just going based off, past couple seasons, based off their defense alone, I'm going to give it to Washington.
Yeah. I know you've mentioned it a couple times in the off season when we've talked about our division and potentially who we thought was going to win. I know you liked Washington, and they definitely have the best defense in our division, if not one of the best defenses in the league right now. So I do understand and appreciate your pick. I think you can make arguments for, maybe 3 out of the 4 teams potentially winning it. I have the Dallas Cowboys, as I do every offseason, and we'll see if it actually happens. But I have the Cowboys winning the NFC East. All right, let's go up north. I think this was one of the easier divisions to pick. Who did you go with?
No brainer here. I'm going with the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I think your biggest contention, I went with the Packers as well, is like the Vikings. But Caitlin and I are so big on the Vikings, like especially I feel like the last 2 seasons, and they just haven't lived up to the potential of who I think they could be as a team as far as who they have on their roster. But this was one of the easier ones, and I think it's a no-brainer that it's the Packers.
Absolutely.
Okay, NFC South. I personally think this is a no-brainer now that Mr. Drew Brees doesn't play in this division anymore. I feel there's a clear cut, but who are you taking?
I'm going to go with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I went with them as well.
You can't have all, 32 guys return without being super strong down there. It's that alone is impressive. So it's just,
Yeah. And then last but not least, I think you can make arguments for all 4 teams to win it. NFC West. This was a challenging one. Who are you going with?
I agree. And it's the one, I spent the most time on. And you guys can go back and, look at our predictions for record and stuff. So I'm
They
going to
were
stay
high. They were high for like all 4 teams.
They were, and this is a division 2. Adding that third wild card team in there, that really opens up a lot here for this division for sure. I'm going to stay true to my predictions though for the records, and I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I referenced my my record predictions as well when going back because this was a hard division to go through. And I'm going to stick to my guns as well with what I went, and I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so only one difference, NFC East, but like we said, that's a hard one. That's a real hard one.
Yeah.
Let's see if we match up in the AFC, and we are going to start with the AFC East. I think this is another no-brainer. Who do you have?
We're going up north to New York to the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills. I think they should potentially try to sweep in their division game. I don't see any of them challenging for that top spot in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the AFC North. I think this might have been my trickiest one. I don't know about you, but who do you got winning?
It was definitely tricky, and I chose to shake things up and maybe rattle some feathers out there. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns.
I love that pick. I kept my picks very vanilla, except my one spicy pick. I also went with the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, this was my spiciest pick, I think.
This was my spicy pick. Yeah. It was my not like clear-cut, no-brainer. Like
the Steelers give me such a question mark with how they ended last season.
Baltimore has a rough schedule.
And they're also facing a lot of injuries right now.
Yeah, and Cleveland has a squad.
They do. And that's why I don't think entering today, maybe it was that clear cut to me. Like, oh, the Browns are going to take this division. But when you sit down and you really lay everything out, it's just, that's it. Like the answer is right in front of your face.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel good about us picking that. I really do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take things over to the AFC South. I think this is a 2-team race here between the Colts and the Titans. Who were you going with?
I'm going to give the one up to the Titans here. I really do think that, you're obviously putting a lot of eggs within Derrick Henry's basket, and he's going to deliver. But adding a guy like Julio Jones into the mix is really, really interesting. And they obviously have other weapons on offense and defense. And I know there's a lot of question mark, like can Ryan Tannehill repeat? I know I'm someone that's questioning that. I do think, though, there is a lot of questions of just the Titans being good in general this season. And I have to go against those people. They are going to be good. They are going to be talented. And I really do think they'll take the division.
Yeah, I went with the Tennessee Titans, and just real quick, piggybacking off of what you said, I think for me, what helps me to pick them over the Colts is honestly Carson Wentz. I'm not convinced on that one right there.
No.
So I do believe in Ryan Tannehill now, and I definitely believe in him over Wentz. So that kind of helped me make my final decision. I'm going with the Titans as well. And then last but not least, we have the AFC West. Who are you taking?
I feel like this one's definitely a no-brainer, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs here.
Yep, I went with the Chiefs as well. Definitely, obviously, one of the strongest, if not the strongest teams in the NFL right now. But this is where things get real interesting. Let's go with our
real
teams. Let's start with the AFC. Give me your 3 teams that will also be in the playoff mix.
So in no particular order, I'm not ranking them per se, but I do think the Chargers, the Colts, and the Steelers will make their way into the playoffs.
I thought we were going to go 3 for 3 because I went with the Chargers, the Colts, and do a little AFC North swapperoo. I went with the Ravens over the Steelers.
Okay.
So I guess that's kind of like my bold prediction is leaving the Steelers out of the mix. And I really wanted to add them, but I also wanted to stay true about how we feel about the Chargers this upcoming season.
Oh, love them.
So that kind of like persuade me to give them a spot in there. So we'll see. That would be a pretty big deal if the Steelers missed out. And then who are your 3 teams for the NFC?
Well, we got a quick shout out on Twitter Hello, someone from pickcity.com works in gambling there. Nice. Well, don't listen.
Don't listen to us. Listen to Pick City.
Yeah, you should know. For the NFC, I have the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Saints. Despite Drew Brees not being there, I do still think they can put up numbers. And I think this is his Twitter. Okay, Gamble Guy. Okay, I was like, they're just like repeating who they are. But hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So I still think they'll put up numbers and find their ways into the playoff.
So this is my boldest pick out of all of these picks, and by boldest pick, I'm going collectively, like group. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that all 4 teams from the NFC West are going to make the playoffs.
I love it.
I have the Cardinals, the Rams, and the 49ers. And to be honest with you, I wanted to make arguments for why other teams could take those slots. But like, for example, you have the Saints. Like, that's kind of saying that there's not a lot of strong teams in the NFC. Like, because I don't personally think the Saints are going to be that great. And yes, I'm going for it. I'm going for the full 4
We got some eyeballs on Twitter on that pick. I love it though.
That is technically,
and with the 3 teams now, it'll be the first time technically in history that happens, right? Because it could never have happened before.
Oh yeah, it will be the very first time, because this is only the 2nd season it could potentially happen. And I'm going for it. It would be pretty crazy, but I'm going for it.
All righty.
All right, let's go to the AFC Championship game. What is your matchup?
We're doing AFC first?
Sure.
Okay, so I have the Bills and the Chargers in the AFC Championship game.
I agree with you on the Bills. I have the Bills playing in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, yes. I
know it's vanilla, people, but I'm just being real with it.
I'm trying to be bold. We got some Saints. We got some Bills commenting in here. Someone loving Jameis. No, I'm not a Jameis Winston fan.
I actually took Jameis as my fantasy football backup quarterback.
Okay.
So I'm not a huge Jameis fan, but I for whatever reason,
I don't know who my backups are.
As a backup in fantasy. But
yeah.
NFC Championship game matchup. Who do we have?
I'm going the Seahawks and the Buccaneers.
Okay. I'm going with the Green Bay Packers versus the Buccaneers. And then Super Bowl matchup.
I have the Buffalo Bills and the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay, all right. Well, we have different, which makes it fun, which makes it exciting. I have the Green Bay Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you have winning your Seahawks Buffalo Super Bowl?
Maybe one time it'll actually happen when I pick it, but I think the Buffalo Bills are winning the Super Bowl.
I think that I've seen it as a popular pick. It's not outlandish anymore to think that Buffalo can win. Obviously, my Super Bowl matchup is completely different. I have the Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just like to keep it as real and vanilla and as straight up as I think. I'm going to give this to the Kansas City Chiefs. I really thought they were going to win last year as well. So now I think it's happening this season, because I did say I thought Patrick Mahomes was going to win 2-3 Super Bowls with Kansas City. So here it is, people.
I put Buffalo on the screen because, yes, that is how we say Buffalo. Buffalo. All right, that was great. So we'll have to check ourselves come playoff time, see how well Katie and I did. Probably chop up this episode and we'll do a good little show versus reality. So what actually happens. All right, so it's that time of the episode where we get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, wine, life, football season, fall, which I'm already, the pumpkin, you can't see them. They're all over my house. All the pumpkins are everywhere. What do you got for us?
I'm going to keep it super quick, Kate. I know you have to run in a little bit, but mine is basically just, I'm pretty disappointed in the week 1 primetime games, not necessarily the opener. Dallas at Tampa Bay. I'm very excited for that tomorrow. But the Sunday night football game is the Chicago Bears at the Rams. I don't know what the storyline is behind there, unless I'm just blanking. Obviously, they don't play in the same division. I just thought it was a really, really boring matchup, 2 boring teams. And then you've got Monday Night Football, Baltimore at Las Vegas. Again, there's no rivalry there, not a division game. Didn't really understand, especially for week 1, why these were the matchups. Usually I feel like the NFL tries to do a little bit better than this. Thursday night's a little always, but Sunday and Monday night are usually like meant to be really good ones, and reasoning behind those matchups. And I don't know what the reasoning behind these are. So disappointed for week 1 primetime games. Obviously, I'm going to watch, but NFL, I thought you could have done better. That is my very quick get it off my chest.
I 100% agree, because I think with the primetime games, like I complain about them a lot because they're late and I want to go to bed. And it's just like, oh, if you're going to make me stay up, like give me some goodness. Like I need that good game. So very interesting though. College football got off to an incredible start last week. There were some phenomenal games on. Yeah, I know they're going to repeat it next week. So I hope the NFL isn't shooting themselves in the foot by putting their really bad primetime games on. But, because college football really, their primetime games last week really, started off strong. So,
Yep.
Alrighty. Mine is short and sweet too. Again, dealing with football, but so excited. So I'm actually reading. So I've been reading this on and off a little bit because I'm reading other things too. But I've been reading Michael Strahan's book, Inside the Helmet. Life as a Sunday Afternoon Warrior. So basically it's just talking about, it's Michael Strahan. He's the author. Jay Glazer writes the introduction, which is really good as well. Just talking about the day in the life of an NFL player. This is very interesting too, because he wrote it after the 27 season with the Giants. So it's a really interesting time, because then obviously we go on to win the Super Bowl again in 2012. So just an interesting time for the Giants. So it's very interesting there. But there's, he's talking about Eli coming onto the team. There's talks about that's funny. Talking about the whole issue with like Tiki Barber and stuff, and Tom Coughlin. I just finished that chapter of Tom Coughlin starting with them. So that was really, really eye-opening for sure. So I'm still reading it, but it's great. But I did want to call out Mr. Eli, because this is absolutely hilarious. So when he was new to the team, he actually was throwing Halloween parties every year. And I love that, because I love a good Halloween party. And he said, these were big events. Everyone's family went. Everyone went in costume. Like it was a big deal every year. So at one of the first parties, so this is a quote from the book. It says, actually, at that party, Eli came up with the greatest costume of all time. It was right after our then quarterback, Jesse Palmer, had finished a stint starring in The Bachelor. Eli dressed up in one of Jesse's suits, completely gelled his hair to look like Jesse, and carried a handful of roses. He walked around all night handing people roses, voting to keep them in his arms, just like Palmer did on the show. It was hilarious. So if you guys don't know, Eli Manning is a huge jokester, and we actually learned a lot of that near his end of his time and everything that he was doing, from all the pranks that he put on people. That is just absolutely hilarious. I'm wearing Eli tonight. I miss him dearly. We're obviously going into our second season without him, but I'm happy he's working for the Giants. I'm happy him and Peyton are doing that Monday Night Football show. Yeah. That should be, I don't think we get it, but I saw a clip of how they're going to set it up, which looked pretty cool. So yeah, it's just, when I read that, I think I read it on Labor Day. I was reading and I came across that. I texted Katie right away, and I was like, I'm just cracking up at the pool right now. This is the best thing I've seen. So
classic Eli. Definitely that super underrated sense of humor. He honestly is, like you said, a total jokester, really super funny. And I love that story. So
yes,
we love you, Eli.
Miss you.
But yes, so things that you don't want to miss this week. We got a lot for you. So many exciting things in both worlds, Housewives and football. We have Beverly Hills on tonight at 8 o'clock. And guess what, people? We did early show tonight. You can catch that live. Real Housewives of Potomac is on Sunday at 8 p.m. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 2 premiere on Sunday at 9 p.m. Okay? If you are going to be watching football, catch it on demand before we see you on Wednesday so that we can recap it together. And then Roni on Tuesday at 9. The NFL 2021 season opener is tomorrow night, 8:20 p.m. Dallas at Tampa Bay. Can't wait for that. Sunday Night Football, as I mentioned before, the Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Rams. And Monday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens at the Las Vegas Raiders. Everybody enjoy the start of the NFL
Let's
season.
do it.
Can't wait to see you next week and talk more football, talk more Housewives. Thank you guys for joining, and have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.